In this box is the first ever media sample kit that I have ever received from Heaven Hill. I know other channels out there get sample boxes and media samples, and I haven't been able to get on that list, and it just happened 2 weeks ago. I was there, Master Distiller Conor Driscoll was there, and his assistant, I think, came over and said, hey, we're gonna get you on the sample list. And like deep down, I felt like this. Oh yeah! So come right back, let's open this up, find out what's in it, review it, stay right here. It's the Mash and Drum. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C. from the Mash and Drum, and welcome back to the show. Like, subscribe, and help me keep climbing to that 100,000 subscriber milestone here in 2024. Again, thanks for the support. So as I said previously, this is the first sample box I've ever gotten from Heaven Hill. I've been trying since 2018 to get on their sample list. It is now 2024, and it's finally happened. So let's open up this box, find out what it is. I'm hoping what I think is in here is actually what's in here. So here we go. All right, see what we got. There's a press release. Just gonna put that aside for a second. Hold on. Nice little box from Heaven Hill. Dig that blue. Comes wrapped up in bubble wrap. Let's take this out. This is not what I thought I was getting.
The box, who's in the box? What's in the box?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 2024 Parker's Heritage. All right, I'm blown away because so I thought I was getting the newest Elijah Craig Barrel Proof C924, which I was also put on the list for. However, I was told that they didn't have too many of these left, but it looks like they found one to send me. So today, we're gonna review Parker's Heritage, their malt whiskey finished in reconstructed heavy toast cognac barrels, 14 years old, 107 proof. I've been wanting to try this whiskey so bad. It's about to happen. Here we go. I'm honestly a little speechless here, guys, because I did not expect to get this bottle, and I'm so excited to try this. This is, ever since I saw the label come out for the announcement for this, I've just been like going crazy trying to get my hands on one, waiting for the prices to come down a little bit. It's been really hard not to buy one at the, max price, but man, this is really cool. All right, so I'm gonna read a little bit of the press release here because again, I didn't really prepare because I wasn't sure what I was getting. I did think it was a C920 for Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, which still should be coming soon. So let's see what we got here. So here's a couple photos of the bottle while I read this. So this is the 18th release, or the 18th edition of the Parker's Heritage Collection, featuring a 14-year-old Kentucky straight malt whiskey finished in reconstructed heavy toast cognac barrels. The 18th edition is an allocated product and will be available nationally and internationally in limited quantities at a suggested retail price of $169.99. Like previous editions, a portion of the proceeds will continue to support ALS research and patient care in honor of Parker Beam, late Master Distiller Emeritus. So this edition is comprised of 14-year-old malt whiskey that was barreled in March of 2009. The 128 malt whiskey barrels were dumped and then finished in 56 larger reconstructed heavy toast cognac barrels for almost 4 months. The original malt whiskey barrels are from the 4th floor of Rickhouse O and the 6th floor of Rickhouse Q. Once rebarreled, the cognac barrels aged in Rickhouse H1 on the 5th floor. The mash bill for this edition is comprised of 65% malted barley and 35% corn, bottled at 107 proof. And it's also non-chill filtered. So Parker Beam's malt mash bill, I think, is one of those. It's one of those mash bills that has gained a little bit of popularity over the last couple years. Rare Character actually sources some of those barrels for their Exceptional series, and some of those bottles have been absolutely incredible. I cannot wait to taste this, so I'm gonna shut up. Here we go. It is so chocolatey, which is what I think you get from an American malt. This is what American malt is to me. It's chocolatey, it's velvety. What's cool is usually I taste these things beforehand, just to kind of get my notes. So this is just pretty much, you guys are getting my absolute first impressions here. Yeah, it is chocolate covered raisins on the nose to me. Really, really nice. I mean, chocolate raisin, and then there's this underlying a little bit of that barrel char. I think it gave it a little bit of that smoky characteristic. So it's like a hint of a smoked chocolate note with that raisin. I mean, there's also a little bit of that Heaven Hill nuttiness, which I kind of dig. I mean, that's, even though this is a different mash bill, I think that probably their yeast strain kind of lends itself to that a little bit. Yeah, the more this opens up, the more malty it gets. You could definitely smell the malt coming through. Almost kind of like if you put your nose up to, you know, a really good can of beer, almost like a porter or even like a stout, you kind of get that maltiness that comes through. But this mixed with the chocolate, a little bit of the smoke, the dark raisin, a little bit of molasses there too. It's kind of what I expected, but also a little bit different. So here we go, let's try it. It's chocolate covered strawberries in a glass. A little bit of the nuttiness is there. So here's the thing. There have been some instances where I get samples and I'll review it and I don't give it a favorable review. And then some distillers choose not to send me stuff ever again, which has happened before. But if you guys have watched my channel over the years, you guys know I'm gonna be, you know, super honest with whatever I get. But this is exactly what I said it was. It is chocolatey, it is fruit forward. I think the cognac barrel gives it enough of a rich fruit sweetness to kind of offset the bittersweet chocolate note it has. Again, like a strawberry raisin type thing that's hitting me. Second sip, it actually goes from more of a chocolate covered strawberry to a chocolate covered peanut. The chocolate covered peanut is there. Again, I think that Heaven Hilliness starts to come out, especially on the back end of this. It's extremely velvety on the palate. This thing just glides. It's very rich, very syrupy. The maltiness character of it, I think, is actually a little bit more surprising. I didn't expect it to be this malty, but it's pretty strong. You know what? If this didn't have that strawberry raspberry note on the very end of it, kind of coated in chocolate, I'm not sure if this would be a big favorite of mine. As much as I do like malt whiskey, I don't mind malt at all. I especially love it when it's chocolatey like this. I think the fact that there's still some Heaven Hill backbone to it, a little bit of that nuttiness profile, and then as you kind of make your way towards the end to the back of the palate, you get this burst of like a ripe strawberry or raspberry that's just right there. It's like this slight little tartness that's right on the back end of the palate. That is fantastic. You could even, you know, maybe some people would say maybe like kind of a pomegranate type tart or a pomegranate type vibe that you get. Yeah, it's right on the end. That's fantastic. You could even say kind of like Jolly Rancher too on the very back end, like a strawberry, cherry, raspberry Jolly Rancher on the very, very end of it. But the front of the palate, it's malty, it's chocolatey, it's velvety. Again, you get that little point of that Heaven Hill DNA right there on the back end of the palate, and then it just finishes into that really nice dark fruit note. It's fantastic. It's exactly what I thought it would be, and I'm here for it. This is fantastic. All right. So based on the sample here, now we're just gonna kind of off the cuff it here for a final breakdown. Here we go. All right, final breakdown for the brand new Parker's Heritage. This is the 18th edition of the Parker's Heritage, which is a malt whiskey that's 14 years old, finished in reconstructed, recharred cognac barrel. So price for this one, as we heard, is $169.99, so call it $170. Resale market value, I've already seen these as high as $600, $650. And availability, as always with the Parkers, is gonna be limited. So value for this one, $170. This one is interesting because I'm not sure what people's take on malt whiskey is. I think this bottle will just kind of, you know, get out there and get flipped and whatever, get upcharged just because it's a Parker's. Because I think American single malt is still not there yet, even though I think people have touted it as the next big thing. I think people have still kept American single malt at arm's length. And while this doesn't qualify as an American single malt, I still think this could be a nice introduction to malt, what it can do. That chocolate, velvety character it has, coupled with that hint of smoke, the chocolate kind of covered pomegranate, raspberry, Jolly Rancher on the very back end of it. I mean, it's delicious. It can kind of give people a pathway into malt and into what American single malt could be. So value for me here at $170, and what you're getting in the bottle, I think is actually good. Most I'd pay. Now here's the big question, because of what I'm getting in the bottle and the prices we're seeing out there. Is this the best Parkers I've ever had? No. I think a lot of people might take last year's rye, the heavy charred ones before that. Those were unbelievable. This is just a different type of pathway for a Parker's Heritage. Doesn't mean that it makes it less of those, because I think this is even more unique and something more interesting, at least personally for me. I'd say to get this bottle, just to taste it and to experience what Heaven Hill is capable with malt, I'd probably go 300, maybe 350. As far as alternatives go, I think I mentioned before, Rare Character is actually releasing this mash bill under their Exceptional series, which is, some of those are absolutely fantastic. So if you haven't tried those, it's a great one to try. But I'm trying to think of something that's a little bit more readily available to try a malt or American single malt that could get close to this. And the closest thing I could think to it is actually the New Riff. New Riff American Single Malt. It's very chocolatey, it's velvety, and while it doesn't have the dark fruit note that this has, I think that's one of the more well-made American single malts coming out of Kentucky that I think could be a good intro into getting into something like this. And lastly, is this a skip, a try before you buy, or a buy and back it up? I think for me, it's gonna be a buy. I'm definitely gonna try to get my hands on one of these, but I think for a lot of people that have never had a Kentucky malt whiskey, it might be a good chance for try before you buy, because most likely this bottle is going to be expensive wherever you go, even to get a pour of it. Some may like it, some may not like it. You know, Kentucky malt is different. Then you add the cognac to it. It does not taste like a typical Heaven Hill bourbon, even though that nuttiness, that DNA is in there. I think the chocolatey aspect of it, the smokiness to it, and a little bit of that, I mean, I obviously think that the dark fruit on the back end is amazing, but I think for a lot of people that have never had an American single malt or a Kentucky malt, this might be more of a try before you buy, before you're able to pony up the money to try to get one of these. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this review for the 2024 Parker's Heritage 14-year malt whiskey finished in cognac barrels. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the subscribe button below. Please hit the like button. And if you haven't yet, follow me on Instagram. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this one. Were you lucky enough to get it a couple of weeks ago when it released? Are you curious about this one before you try it or buy it? Or are you just buying it because it's Heaven Hill and you love Heaven Hill? Always love hearing from you guys. And as I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. Cheers. I'll see you next time right here on the Mash and Drum. And thank you to Heaven Hill for my first ever media sample. Very, very exciting stuff. Keep them coming. Cheers, guys.